Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live and ideas that can change your life. And I'm standing in front of this clock, and I just wanted to point out that it's all, if any of you follow me, it's always pointing to 6 o'clock, and that's because that was my uncle's watch, his wall pocket watch, and after he died, it fell off the wall and stopped. So I just leave it like that. So this is the anniversary of 9/11, and so I've been contemplating and reflecting on 9/11 because that's in the news. And so we have remembrance of 9/11 and Hurricane Irma and Harvey here. Both are in the news. And both are terrorist attacks, in a sense. The hurricane is terrorizing America, Florida, and the Hurricane Harvey terrorized Texas, and 9/11 was a terror attack. So what is terror, you see, and what is the wide angle meaning of 9/11? And so I reflect on that today. Because we should understand the metaphorical meaning of things that happen to us if we're going to get a wider angle or a context of our own mind and what's happening in our mind. Because 9/11 was an event in the collective mind of America. I mean, it was a physical event, but it was also a psychic event. And I was reminded of the adolescent, and we all have either had this experience, and I'm sure most of us remember when we were adolescents and one of our friends, classmates, dies in a car wreck. That's usually what happens, and it's a traumatic shock because the adolescent mind has got one half in childhood and one half in adulthood. And children have to, or not natural. A child does not have a death concept. That's learned from culture. So there's an innocence in childhood that is being lost by the adolescents, and I think this death shock of a friend dying means I can die. You know, that I'm not immortal. So there's a sense of immortality with adolescence. That's what drives parents crazy, because I can't die. So suddenly there's a shock, I can die. And adults get this shock when the doctor calls and says, oh, that test wasn't good, you have terminal cancer. This can't happen. This is an existential shock. This was the shock Buddha had when he left from Sakyamuni, Gautama, left his palace and encountered sickness, old age, and death. That was metaphorically, that in the legend, that is a metaphor for our 9/11. That existential shock that we can die. You see, America was like an adolescent, was like a child. Nobody can get us. Got a big ocean. Well, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, which was like a 9/11. However, that was different in that the terrorist had a uniform. So 9/11 united us into a single-minded force to go and remove that threat. And we did. And we turned the enemy into our friend. And with Germany, the enemy had a uniform, and we went right to it and unified, created the greatest force on earth, and we converted that enemy into our friend. These two twin threats, these twin threats were transmuted into friends. See, 9/11's different. We don't have any will, we don't know how to transmute that threat into friends. because it's floating. See, 9/11, with a hurricane, you know what the hurricane is. It's right there. And be patient, it will last. But then, of course, now we fear other hurricanes. But 9/11 was a attack by an idea. So there was no army. I think that's why Bush went after Saddam, because we needed to have an enemy like the Tojo or Hitler, So Saddam kind of like became the Hitler, and he had an army, so that will unify us. Stand on the rubble, we're going to go get it and go get him, you see. Well, that didn't work out so well. And that's because the enemy that brought down the Twin Towers wore no uniform. It had no army. So it's like a cancer. Or it's like a ball of mercury. You ever put a little ball of mercury on the table and hit it with a hammer? You see, it morphs. It metastasizes. You see, so that's what happened with terror. You had 9/11 was a trauma, and it instilled in the collective American mind this fear of death. We can die. See, a culture has a collective mind as well as individual minds. So all the individual minds create this collective mind by agreement. When a culture is unified, all the members, little individual minds, agree there is one America. World War II, there was a 99% agreement that America was one and the enemy was one and we were going to get rid of them. And that created this tremendous single-minded force, which then was transferred into a consumer society, but that's another thing. But the point is, 9/11 didn't create that single-mindedness, it created a fragmentation. So instead of being united, we're more divided over this floating fear that can't find an enemy, you see. So fear came into the American mind. We're vulnerable. Any moment we can be another 9/11. So we created this 24/7 cable news to keep an eye out, you see, for the next sign of terror, So now we have this global watch system. If somebody throws a firecracker in London, was that a terror attack? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Just some kids, But if somebody runs into somebody with a car, was that a terror attack? Oh, just somebody was drunk. It's all right. But if the guy had a beard and had been to Syria, oh my God, And then you have this then that will cover, the news will focus in on it, cover every minute detail in the same way we recover the hurricanes, every little puff of wind, every little clue, everything. And then the next one happens. And what happened to the other one? We don't know. Where did Harvey go? I don't know. Now it's Irma. And there'll be another one, and then we'll forget Irma, So the terror attacks, you see, just come to focus our fear like little hurricanes, like one after another. We never eliminate the cause, you see. But then that breeds conspiracy theories. That breeds political movements in the search for the first cause, you see. Americans believe, and this is like the way our culture works, is if you can find the cause of something and remove it, you remove the effect. Now look at our airplanes. Look what we did with airliners. I remember, when there were always these huge airline crashes, 200 people killed, And there was a search to find the cause. It was in the luggage room. It was a wire. It was a loose screw. You see, and you find that and you remove that, you see, and the airline gets safer. Now, when was the last time we had a malfunctioning airplane, you see? It'll be a big shock when one happens. If it's a if it's pilot error, well, you can't, humans are humans. But if the plane has a malfunction because of its design, well, you know, the whole industry will come together to remove that. But the whole idea is that with science and logic, you can remove the cause of death. And eventually push death back so it's way out there. You don't even see it anymore. And we live in this comfort zone free of death. And I think that basically is the American dream, to create a comfort zone where we're free from death. Oh, death happens naturally, you know, but then even some imagine, well, you know, in 100, 200 years, we may live to be 150. And then there's some people who want to, like Sheldon Cooper, they want to freeze themselves so they come up in the future. So, I forgot to set my timer again. So, this whole shattering of the American illusion that you can remove death through science and technology was shattered by 9/11. So there's a recalibration going on, you know. Well, and it creates the fear, and the fear metastasizes, and every conspiracy theory then is basically a new idea to find the first cause of the terror. I know who did it. And so you got this fear free floating with no concrete enemy. And so the world then becomes a screen, and we project our fear on the screen in our hopes to find the one, the enemy, the shadow, the joker, the other, you see, the first cause of our terror, you see. And then if we could just find that first cause, we remove it, and we're back safe in our comfort zone, you see. This also creates walls or buffers. You create a buffer against fear. Put it out there. Create a little buffer where just people like me get inside. Keep fear out. Poe wrote a story about that. The Mask of the Red Death. When the plague was ravaging Europe. And the plague would be like a bug terrorist. You know, so now we have a plague of terror ravaging America in the same way that the bubonic plague ravaged Europe. You didn't know where it was going to pop up. You'd be sitting there in your little town and suddenly it pops up in your town. And then everybody starts dying. How did it get in? So the Mask of the Red Death was about this castle. These people created a castle to keep the death out, and they all had costumes, and they were drinking and having a party, and death came in wearing a costume, you see. So you can't really keep death out. Anyway, I just reflect on this 9/11 as a metaphor for the concept of collective death, concept of death for the American mind, which has fragmented it into actually, America looks like a sumo wrestling match, which is divided against itself, projecting on the other one the fear of death. And now everything morphs into these sumo wrestling matches, trying to throw the other half of itself out of the ring. So you got the conservatives trying to throw the liberals out, the liberals trying to throw the conservative out. Each one naming the other one as the cause of our terror, you see. So death has become the way we structure reality now. Fear becomes the way we structure reality. And we can no longer find a single-minded America, you see. So until we find a single cause to unite America, we're going to be fragmented from 9/11. So 9/11 fragmented America into pockets of fear, and we yet have to reinvent America as the one without fear. We have to find our nerve again. We have to find our center, you see, because when the center goes, anarchy comes in, fear, chaos. you see. So we're in the process of reinventing America after 9/11. Just like in a family, when death comes, and the person who held the family together dies, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to recreate yourself after death. So that's the value of death, in that it makes you reinvent yourself, rediscover yourself, recreate yourself, you see. So anyway, 9/11 has a lot of ripples, a lot of side effects, you see. And we're still trying to sort ourselves out. So thanks for dropping in.